Hello and welcome to OIS 14 in San Diego for the, 7th episode of the Rob and Jay show. I think, I just made that number up. It could be 7.
It could be 7.
It could be 7. Thank you all for tuning in today. And in the spirit of continuing our discussion with innovative leaders in ophthalmology, Jay's going to introduce our next guest.
Yes, a great friend of ours and so forth in eye care after a long, illustrious career at Alcon and Novartis. You're now the CEO of a cool company called SpyGlass. By the way, it's a really cool name, but Patrick, tell us about it.
I had nothing to do with the name, by the way. The founders did, so kudos to them.
Jay will take credit for it eventually, don't worry.
I'll take it.
I think you might have already. Thanks for the invite. Pleasure to talk to you guys, and always a pleasure to talk about SpyGlass. SpyGlass is really about long-term drug delivery for patients with glaucoma, and we're doing this at the time of routine cataract surgery. We've known for decades medicines work, but they don't work when patients don't take them. And so we are thinking differently and doing it at a convenient time when patients are already in the operating room. You're a busy surgeon, you have all modalities available to you, but we know 20% of cataract surgeries are done in patients with glaucoma.
5 million this year, right?
5 million procedures, 20%, so 1 million cataract procedures just in the United States that are done in glaucoma patients and ocular hypertension. The challenge is most surgeons are not like you. They're not
like him.
Or you using MIGS procedures routinely.
I'm anterior segment.
Right, I'm the glaucoma guy.
So
he pretends to be a glaucoma guy, so just be
anterior
careful.
segment rocks.
So surgeons have their preferences as to what they like to use. And the sad thing is that as good as MIGS procedures are, most cataract surgeons are not employing them routinely. And so we think we can solve that. So SpyGlass is a drug delivery platform that consists of both an intraocular lens from SpyGlass that has 3 years of bimatoprost therapy securely attached at the haptic junction and goes directly into the capsular bag during routine cataract procedures. So surgeons can use their standard perfected cataract techniques and not only address visual improvement post-cataract extraction, but also deliver 3 years of payload of bimatoprost to lower intraocular pressure for these patients.
So no need for gonioscopy, right?
There's no need for gonioscopy.
Right, the rate limiting step for most
a lot of
minimally
surgeons.
invasive glaucoma surgeons is their inability to operate through a gonioscopic view, right? So it's always, and as an investor in this space, we've long sought technologies that attach themselves to IOLs because we know it's the natural way for surgeons to get inside the eye in the anterior segment. But we've looked at remote monitoring devices for IOP measurement that can be attached to IOLs. You guys are really the only drug delivery company that we know of. Unfortunately, we're checklist at the moment, but ultimately, it's a great way to allow cataract surgeons to do what they're most comfortable with, but yet have a significant impact on modifying glaucoma.
We agree, and we're excited about just the elegance of the procedure. It was fun to do the market research, talking to numerous ophthalmologists, and once we started to peel back the onion and describe our system, the overwhelming response was, this is great. When's this coming? I would use this tomorrow. So that just gives us a lot of confidence, and more importantly, the system, we now have dozens and dozens of patients with long-term follow-up. Right. Patients are doing extremely well, both from a pressure standpoint. We just published our 18-month data.
What can you share with us on that?
Sure. So our first in-human trial started a couple of years ago. 23 patients that were significantly cataract vision loss. They also had glaucoma or ocular hypertension, so these patients were all on topical therapy. Washed them out, cataract surgery, SpyGlass IOL, plus our delivery platform. And we just released last month the 18-month follow-up data. Across all 3 dose strengths, the average IOP reduction was 43.7%.
Wow.
100% of patients at 18 millimeters or below. 0 patients back on medicine. So 100% of patients remain off of all topical therapy.
That's incredible.
Wow.
And 100% of patients 20/30 or better.
So visual correction and IOP lowering, single procedure.
So Rob and I have written a lot of prosthetic lens in our day,
Correct.
right? You don't get that kind of reduction, 43% with a prosthetic lens. And in your situation, you think the prosthetic lens being affixed to an IOL has an impact on compliance and so forth?
Definitely from a compliance standpoint. Clearly, phacoemulsification lowers intraocular pressure. We know this. The studies show that phaco alone is good for roughly 20 to 28% of IOP reduction. That's some duration over perhaps 1 to 2 years. But we know for decades now, prostaglandin analogs are good for 20 to 30% reduction on their own. So clearly we're achieving over 40%. I think you're seeing a combined effect both from phaco in the early phase, but also a significant improvement in reduction because of the bimatoprost already on board, eluding 24/7. Patients don't have to do a thing.
So we've heard a lot at this meeting, both at the boot camp yesterday and in some of the programs today, that one of the challenges or one of the factors that need to be considered very early on in the development process is commercialization strategy. And this is going to be a very different pricing model for an intraocular lens. What is your thought on how that's going to have an impact on whether or not this gets mass adoption? Because it seems like, and I hate to use the term, but it seems kind of like a no-brainer, right? You're putting in the lens, and it also does. How is that going to affect, the ability to price this out and get insurances to cover it? I'm sure you've evaluated it already.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing is there's knowables in this space. IOLs have a clear reimbursement path.
Right.
We're launching first with, eventually someday, of course, a single-piece monofocal, and there's a path for that. So we want to be able to make sure that we're not inventing new challenges from a reimbursement path. So staying within the established procedure codes for cataract procedures from an IOL perspective. And then the drug is a physician-administered drug,
right.
And there's Medicare Part B path for that as well. So ASP plus 6% on the drug side, and the IOL fits into your existing established procedure codes.
That's a great question,
Yeah,
Rob.
easy.
Payer
Easy.
access is so important in glaucoma. No one wants glaucoma, and most of these patients are on Main Street, right? So if it's not like refractive surgery, retina and glaucoma demand things that have a good, smart, well thought out payer access strategy. So that's a very important part of clinical development. Sometimes people think about it afterwards and allow for the commercial team to think about it, but it really belongs that, and you should be thinking about that every night.
And we
payer
are.
access.
I'm glad you said that.
That's responsible.
All right.
My background is all commercialization, launching products, building teams, and we learned a lot over the years launching products, not only in Medicare Part D, but also anti-VEGFs in the Medicare Part B world.
Right.
And there's a very established process so that we can understand patient benefit investigations and confirmation of those benefits so that everyone in the process is aware of what that reimbursement is. And so this is a very knowable path, and to your point, we're thinking about it now, years in advance.
Right. Right. It's nice not to have to need a new code. If you don't need a new code, it makes life a lot easier.
New codes are also interesting, right? Everybody likes
Just hard.
new codes.
It's just hard.
Well,
So-
I think from a procedural standpoint, there's also opportunities. So not only on the IOL and the Medicare Part B on the drug side, there's opportunities for new procedure codes as well.
Right.
Just from a professional fee standpoint.
Do you all
So
think
we're
you're going to be
pursuing those as
eventually
well.
a platform technology for other things, other ways to treat diseases, both in the anterior segment as well as the maybe posterior segment?
Yes, is the short answer. We've already established that we can elute several drugs out of our platform system. Clearly, we're starting in glaucoma. Awesome, huge market to address, and patients need help. So we're going to start there, but we've already proven on the bench that we can elute other relevant ophthalmic drugs, steroids, non-steroidals, small molecules for retinal diseases. These are really interesting pipeline projects that are active for us today, and I look forward to pursuing those as we advance our lead asset as well as our pipeline.
So do you have any thoughts on timeline? When do we expect for you guys to, let's say, get an approval?
Boy, if I had a crystal ball.
Give us the crystal ball, guys.
Sure.
Guesstimate.
Well, you saw this week we announced that we just completed enrollment of our phase 2 FDA trial. Very excited. Team did an awesome job getting those patients into the study, so we're grateful for all of the investigators and patients. Our goal is to be sitting down with FDA early next year.
That's fantastic.
For end of phase 2 meeting, and then to proceed into 2 large phase 3 clinical trials next year.
Fantastic.
I get the feeling, Jay, this is like a recurring theme that 5 years from now, we're probably not going to be doing anything that we're doing today for the most part.
I love it.
The entire world of how we treat things is probably going to completely reformulate itself, over the next 5 to 10 years. So
It's a great space and very noble.
Yep.
Very noble. The toughest question is coming up right now.
Uh-oh.
You know what this weekend is?
Do I know what this week
It's
is?
OIS, obviously. Yesterday, a famous president passed away November 22nd. But there's another reason why it's famous.
I give up.
So, Gladiator or Wicked?
Gladiator.
Oh, there we go.
Getting killed.
Back to back.
Listen, thanks for being on the pod.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks for being in the
invite.
interview. It's
Pleasure
great,
to talk.
and congrats to SpyGlass, and looking forward to its continued success.
Thank you.
Awesome.